any less sound. I promised myself to treat myself and visit a nearby town. I've been to
It all started with football and a takeover bid for a football pitch.
Are you prepared to do it or not? Yeah. Right, well, let's get on with it then, okay?
It was feeling angry that finally got people together again. So angry they took the law into their own hands and made an old playground into a football pitch for their children.
We don't want the wooden parts damaged, so we'll take that off nice and gentle first of all. If we're not stopped, then we'll take the rest out. All right, Charlie? All right, that's it.
All this must be left here, otherwise they'll charge us with theft. And we are not stealing, we are only repairing. Otherwise we are leaving ourselves open to theft. So make sure that everything is left here. Right slap bang in the bloody middle.
You cut that side there. Just here.
When a bunch of reasonable citizens start destroying public property, chances are it's because they're desperate to make themselves heard, whoever tries to stop them.
They sent a letter round to my house today, a big limousine, to drive a personal letter down to stop this tonight.
We're not taking anything away, we're trying to improve things. I don't know if it's illegal or illegal, but we've got to do something. If the council won't do it, we'll have to do it ourselves.
We're not trespassing or anything like that. We're just making this a pitch for the kids, as we've intimated before. We've been there, seen them on delegations, had letters back, nothing's happened at all, and we're just doing it now. We're fed up with it.
I'm prepared. If it means going to jail, I'll go to jail for it.
But this is more than a fight for a football pitch. It's a fight for a community.
Now they're knocking down the area and they're rebuilding it wrong. But there's a chance that I can say something about it. And this is what I intend to do. By the E1 League is the only means that we've got of saying something to the council that we want to run the way we live.
This is Stepney in the East End of London. It's an area with more homeless families, more children in care than any other borough. It's an area where 1 boy in 4 appears in court before his 16th birthday. To look at, it seems rather a bleak place without much character. But the older people remember a different kind of East End.
I lived in the highway, let me think, 20 years ago, and they condemned it, they pulled it all down. And of course, obviously, shopping in Watney Street and going through to the cinema, this used to be 6 streets. This particular area used to be 6, 7 streets of rows of tenement houses, you know. Some were 2 up and 2 down, some were 3 floors of 2, some were 2, 3, you know. But they all knew one another. And when you used to come to 11 o'clock at night or 11:30, they'd all be sitting outside on their doorsteps with
used to come
cups of tea and all things. Oh, it used to be really lovely.
There was also poverty and the worst slums in London. But the streets were teeming with life then. It was like a village inside the city. The war hit the East End harder than any other part of London. There were 26,000 houses seriously damaged or completely destroyed, and the population came down from 200,000 to 72,000, with people being killed or evacuated. The East End came out of the war broken, knocked to bits. What Hitler left standing, the planners decided to finish off. So those messy and noisy back streets where the immigrants, the Jews, the Irish, the Chinese, the lot, lived and traded for generations hardly exist today, except in the memories of old people. The few streets that are left will soon be demolished, and the local kids write poems about a world they never knew.
Just down the road, it's a boarded up shop. I don't know how long. It was like that when we moved here. Skinheads have kicked some planks in. leaving holes for the rats to creep in at night. It was owned by Mr. Sternberg, and he used to give green short stamps. The notice is still there. The shop is number 46. I wonder how it's still there. I wonder what Mr. Sternberg looked like. I wonder.
Since the war, more acres have been cleared, more council flats have been built than in any other London borough. But for what sort of living?
I like to live in an house where there is space. We knock down houses and build big blocks, and we build car parks. Why don't we build houses? My conscience keeps pricking me. I don't know what to do, except build car parks. I wonder why.
And I was shocked. I really was shocked. All this was down, and it really looked as if it was a ghost town. It really, no, this is the gospel truth, I'm not lying. I come to visit a friend of mine moved into Norton House here in Bigland, and I was so upset to think that they had killed it. You know, they had definitely annihilated the area.
I always understood that the East End of London was the most community conscious part of Britain, probably, as it certainly was. I mean, as one remembers it vaguely, I never lived here, but one knows exactly what happened in the East End in the war and before, in between the wars, in terms of community. Now, that's all been shattered really partly physically by the Blitz and the destruction of so many of the areas of terraced housing and so on, where people used to live and where community was easy. And then, of course, by redevelopment and the kind of housing that has been put in, these high-rise buildings and so on, where community is desperately difficult. I was told when I first came here that the real problem was the juvenile delinquency problem at a young age, you know, the sort of 7 to 12, that sort of age range. And at that time it was very high, I mean, sort of 1 in 3, I suppose. I don't really remember the exact figure. And I think it's because you've got an area with a tremendous number of kids and jolly little play space.
They've researched it and found that the big new estates produce 4 times more children who get into trouble than any other kind of housing. The parents realised that if only there was somewhere for it, football would at least keep the kids occupied. So they fought the council for a football pitch and got one. 2 years ago, there were 6 teams belonging to 6 different estates. Now there are 26. And they call themselves the E1 League. Then this year they decided that since no one else was doing it, they'd run their own 2-day festival. Frank McGuinness is one of the football managers who together took on the organising.
The idea of the festival in the first place stemmed from the fact of, you take the high-rise dwellings and that are around here, it was a breakdown of community, a breakdown of contact amongst people. And it was thought amongst the people, you know, who are living in the places, if we came together and bring us down onto ground level again, and we'll all get together and we'll organise it ourselves and do it ourselves and come together ourselves, and the community can only grow from that type of thing.
And Joe, I
We have Charlie, who, as you know, the docks programme is run down. He finds himself redundant from the docks, and he comes along and gives a tremendous amount of help. He has lived here all his life and knows everybody. Of course, he's the chairman.